That is the number one song in the United States of America right now in the iTunes charts, which is, for those of us that are Gen X and older, that's what the Billboard chart used to be when we were growing up. The stuff that, Casey Kasem used to bring us on Sunday mornings. It's the iTunes charts now, which means this is the number one song in America right now. And it's a genre of music that has a devoted following, but doesn't necessarily have the most widespread appeal. And he's not a star. Most people just learned Oliver's name here in the last week. Why? Because its message is resonating and it strikes a chord. And it is hitting and touching a lot of people where they're at right now in their soul, knowing that something has gone fundamentally wrong in our country, and a frustration that there is anybody who really will have a plan, incentive, or principle and passion to do something about it. So guys, your thoughts on this success. I know Todd, he's speaking your love language at his first concert. Oliver read an imprecatory prayer from the Psalms. That's, for people that don't know, that is literally when David writes Psalms calling for God to act against his enemies, like curses, smites. That's kind of what we're talking about here. And it's the kind of thing that in our Pottery Barn mega church era, we kind of forget that these things are in the Bible because we're nicer than God now. So this thing has just blindsided the country, came out of nowhere, and is the literal definition of an overnight sensation. But for the kinds of reasons we typically don't see that sort of fame hoisted upon somebody so rapidly as we are right now with Oliver Anthony.
Yeah, that follow-up concert is everything, because he's telling you with this song, A, this is reality, whether you like it or not. It is what it is. B, this is how we act against it. We call upon God to bring justice upon the land, mighty justice upon the land. In a couple Mel Gibson movies, both Braveheart and The Patriot, this theme plays out. Mel Gibson's character trying to say this, whether you like it or not, this is the reality. And ultimately, justice, and Steve, I know you've talked about this too, about, okay, we can sit here and just line up 10 feet from them and shoot at each other and do that. Or we can be much, much smarter, much, much swifter, much more nimble, fight a fight that we can win. That starts with Oliver Anthony in going to prayer. And calling upon, yes, and I mentioned this on a podcast I was last night, unapologetically, the closed fist of God to bring righteousness upon the land. Our pleated khaki jean nonsense, if we could just talk this out, we can... No! No, no, no. The plagues after plague after plague are being called down upon our heads. We must bend our knee. We must ask God for justice. We must be worthy of that justice ourselves by repenting. But then we must ask God to do his work and be willing to be his instruments to do that.
Amen. And
Amen.
I think the part of this song, and I think it was Matt Walsh that pointed this out the other day as well, the part of this song that stands out to me, particularly, if you're 5'3" and 300 pounds, my tax dollars ought not to pay for your bag of fudge rounds. Ooh, that's touching a third rail. That's something we don't like to talk about. And yet he hits on that as well. Why? That entire song is an anthem of the people whose system is rigged against them in every direction. And that's why it resonates. Here's the other reason why it resonates as well. He's just a guy out in the forest with a couple of dogs and a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Saying exactly the way so many people feel. And resonating. And number one, it's authentic. People are looking for, hey, is this real? People are looking for real. And that entire thing screams real.